Liftoff will start in T-minus 10 seconds.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Evan and John, and you're listening to the Boomer and X Show. Oh, sorry, I turned John's mic off there because he was just...
I was laughing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
All right, am I on now?
You're on now.
Okay. Welcome to the Boomer and X Show, everybody. My name is John, and this is my good friend Evan.
That's me.
And in spite... Two things, real quick.
In spite
of... Well, I started saying in spite of, and just two things. One is last week when we did the show, we said we were going to do something else, and then we were going to do...
Oh, yeah, we said we were going to take a week break.
Right.
Yeah.
But...
Changed our minds.
We changed our mind and decided to go ahead and hit sports, mainly football. In fact, yes, football.
Well, the main reason, I guess, because by the time we would have done that episode,
everybody would be like, just play the game already.
Exactly.
So we decided to get all of our blah blah in there with everybody else's blah blah with regards to the upcoming game and what happened last week. And one other thing is, due to a technical error last week named John...
Yep.
We got an unedited episode out there.
Well, you did edit it.
But we got an unedited episode out
exactly.
there.
What ended up on iTunes was unedited. And it wasn't that bad. It was some
throat clearing and a little deal where at the end where I changed up what I said at the end without you knowing I was going to do that.
It's more like radio than a podcast.
Instead of the polished professional version of the...
that y'all are so used to.
That's right. You got an unedited one. So anyway, sorry about that.
Okay, so today is January 28th, 2016. The topics for this sports...
Today's January 28th?
That's what I said.
Today's January 28th?
That's what I said.
Happy birthday, John.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Happy birthday, John. It's John's 124th birthday. He's old. 54?
54, yes.
Yeah. All right, number one, AFC, NFC Championship games. 2 is we're going to talk about Cam Newton and Carolina. 3, we're going to do the same thing with Peyton and Denver. 4, we're going to hit the last 41 through 49 Super Bowls. And then number 5, we got to hit Super Bowl 50, or L.
Yeah, Super Bowl 50.
Yep. And then we got some Mad Dashers, but
yeah, a little bit of Mad
we'll
Dash
leave those
stuff
to surprise.
To the end. Yeah. All right, well, recap of last week's game. We had a classic, and we had a classic
we sure did.
Can of whoop ass. Here's one thing that I really, really, really liked as being something of a football traditionalist. I consider myself. I love the fact that we had a classic game, and it wasn't a game that looked like an arena football game. Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a memorable game to have 50 to 48 or something crazy like that.
Right. It was a great game. Yeah. It was a great game. And here's thoughts, just kind of random thoughts as they come to me. The first thing was that the Denver defense was beyond stellar.
It was everything everyone's talked about.
And they punished
more than I've
Tom Brady.
ever seen him be punished.
Every time he was throwing the ball, he was on his way down to the ground. It seemed like
they fired their offensive line coach the next day.
Yeah, when you told me that, and I just said, sometimes the jokes write themselves.
The next day, I'm sure Tom Brady went to the GM. You need to fire him. I got hit way too many times.
Yeah, that was just too funny. I mean, the whole storyline was how many times Tom Brady got hit, and the next day the offensive line coach gets fired.
So the score of that game was 18-20, and it came down to a missed PAT.
It's true, because they wouldn't have had to go for 2 had Gostkowski
They could have just gotten another extra point.
Yeah.
Which last year, that was a freebie.
And which would have sent it into overtime. So the changing the line of scrimmage for the point after touchdown definitely played a role.
Definitely. All year, and it shaped the Super Bowl, essentially. I mean, we don't know what would have happened in overtime, but they would have went to overtime.
They would, yes. They certainly would have gone to overtime. Here's what struck me as I was watching the game also. New England had no faith whatsoever
run.
in their running game.
Yeah, so much so that Tom Brady, the slowest person in the world, had the leading rusher. 3 carries for 13 yards.
Well, but even down the stretch, they didn't even try.
No,
they didn't even try. Brady threw 56 times in the game, but he threw 36 times in the second half alone. And they had a 4th and 1. You and I were listening to the game late, and they had a 4th and 1 late, and they were deep in Denver territory. And I'm thinking, this is a run.
At the very least, quarterback sneak.
And no,
and they passed.
And they passed.
You're thinking either A, they're running, B, quarterback sneak. The very last thing you think is they're going to pass,
and they did.
And they passed a slant.
It was a little out. I mean, you and I were listening to it, but I watched it after I got home, and it was Brady threw the ball when he was probably 8 or 9 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and was it Amendola?
I think it was Edelman.
Edelman caught it like 3 or 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and he got called for a 1 or 2 yard loss on a 4th and 1. And when he did it, when we were listening to it,
couldn't believe it.
I couldn't believe it. I said, my God, they have no faith whatsoever in their running game.
And that right there is why the Broncos went to the Super Bowl and not the Patriots. I believe that, and the PAT rule that changed.
That
33 yards.
I mean, that defense was just awesome.
But I think those two things, the not having a faith in the run or no run game at all, and, of course, a missed field goal. When you lose by 2, you got to blame it on the missed field goal. And I think that was his only miss all year.
Extra point?
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, he had hit 523 in a row.
Yeah.
He had hit 523. In fact, I think I heard that the last time he even missed was in college.
And then they fired him.
No,
I'm just kidding.
No.
You can't fire for that. All right. So, we got a little bit more time left, but we want to talk about the Arizona-Carolina game. And I think I said Arizona, right, on this one?
Yes.
Yeah, I did. I said Arizona. You know why? Because, and this scares me for the Super Bowl, but we'll get to that, because they score like the Denver Broncos can. And so me saying that means, now they're going up against the Carolina Panthers, but they don't have the defense that Denver has.
Well, I liked Carolina, and it did express some concern in Arizona having to, and I use the word struggle.
Go on the road?
No, struggle against Green Bay at home.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a problem. But also, after we did the episode, and you and I were talking a couple of days before the game, and of course, I'm a meteorologist, and I tie everything to weather. I try to find a weather connection to everything, and it had snowed in Charlotte, and I think kickoff temperature was going to be about 35 degrees, and Arizona plays indoors. And I told you, I said, I don't think Arizona will like this 35-degree weather at all.
Yeah, I remember saying it. I don't think it'll bother them.
And I think if it had been 35 or 75 or 85, it wouldn't have mattered. Carolina
4 interceptions.
Carolina would have won the game. However, I do think that they played a little worse outdoors in the cold. Indoor teams just do not like 35-degree weather. But it doesn't help that your quarterback is responsible for 6 turnovers.
Yeah.
4 interceptions and 2 fumbles.
Yeah.
So now we're going to talk a little bit about Cam and Carolina, and then we're going to talk about Peyton and Denver. But I want to jump in here with Cam and Carolina first. I went into the season not being a Cam Newton fan at all. I didn't care for his behavior.
I believe we have you recorded saying some such.
Yes. I remember specifically a game in the 2014 season where he really pretty much instigated a fight with the Saints, and I didn't care for him. I didn't care for his shtick. I didn't like the fact that
what's
hadn't
his shtick?
the whole.
Don't mess with me, I'll beat you up.
No, the kind of again, the edginess with the fighting, and then all of the Superman stuff and all this kind of stuff. I don't care for it. I really don't like it in a quarterback, but I'm just kind of old school in that I don't like it a whole lot in general.
Again, it has nothing to do with the Auburn stuff because
no. This is no, not at all. And he hadn't really developed fully as a quarterback, and I thought he was kind of trying to take a little too much praise and celebration for someone who, as of yet, had not accomplished anything. I end the season. I don't want to say I'm a Cam fan because I don't want a bandwagon, but I end the season with utmost respect for how he's developed his game and how he has developed as a leader. His passing has grown by leaps and bounds this year. and I have described him as a physical freak. And when you got a 6'5", 260-pound quarterback who can now throw the ball and throw the ball extremely well, and he has accounted for 50 touchdowns via either running or throwing this year. Not only is he the runaway MVP for this season, but I do believe that he will carry this team to a Super Bowl victory this year, and also with his top receiving option having been lost before the season ever started, and that was Kelvin Benjamin.
That's true.
Greg Olsen is an excellent tight end, and he goes to him quite a bit. But other than that, Ted Ginn is his number one outlet, and Ted Ginn drops as many as he catches. And I could not be more impressed with Cam's play, his leadership, and the way he has taken on the role of quarterback. And there's an old saying: if you're poor, you're strange. If you're rich, you're eccentric. Well, if you're losing,
I've never heard that.
If you're losing, you're a show off. If you're winning, you're celebrating. So he's been winning and he's been celebrating, and I've got to take my hat off to him. I really, really do. I think Ron Rivera has done a great job letting Cam be Cam.
Yeah. I think the team they put around him also is a huge factor.
Well, look, they have a great defense.
Yeah.
They do have an excellent defense, and they intercepted more passes this season than any other defense out there, and which I think we'll get into it a little bit more later, but I think spells trouble for Denver.
Nah.
But I don't know. What are your thoughts on Cam in Carolina?
I've always liked Cam. Every time I hear, and I guess it's because there's so many LSU fans down here, and because he's in our conference and everything, they just don't like him because there was apparently some. It's still?
I don't even know. That's so old. I don't even think about it anymore.
It's so old, but that's why no one likes him down here. So I hear a lot of people saying they don't like him down here mostly. But I'm assuming he's more liked than hated because it's just down here where people don't like him. I've always liked him. I think he's always had the talent and always had the ability to do what he's doing this year, but now he has the team around him and the defense behind him to do what he needs to get done. So that's essentially mine. The coaching and the GMs and everything, they've put together a team around him, their superstar, and now it's showing who he is and how he can play.
Well, and we'll see. We'll see how it goes in about 10 days from now. Then we'll see. Then we'll see going into next year. But I think I know I've mentioned to you off the air, and I don't know if I've said this on the air or not. But when I see any quarterback running, I'm thinking, get down. Don't take a hit. When I see Cam running, I don't think that. But I think the other guy. The other guy is just as likely to get hurt. They're saying 265, 260, 265, 6'5". He's got a very large frame.
You're right. I've seen him hit guys holding the ball out ready to pass.
Yes.
Not like tucking it like you should.
And he'll go over the goal line like that.
Exactly. And he's just so strong.
Big and strong. Now, but I will say this. I don't think what he's doing is sustainable for a 12, 13, 14-year career.
I don't think he's one of those who's trying to make it that long.
Well, I don't think he will.
He didn't act like one of those, I'm trying to make it as long as I can.
Well, he definitely goes all out. He's not saving anything.
No.
So Denver and Peyton.
I saw today, I guess, it was today. They're talking about his PEDs back in whenever. In
2011, HGH.
Yeah,
human growth hormone.
Yeah. Any thoughts on that other than that's probably just a...
Well, in 2011, they didn't even the NFL didn't test for it. And look, if you're in advanced stage and trying to recover from injuries, and there's nothing that says don't do this, well, what the hell? I would.
Yeah,
I would.
Yeah, 5 years later.
To me, this is nothing like baseball players hitting roids so they could jack an artificial number of home runs out of the stadium.
It's nothing like taking the air out of a ball. Doesn't compare quite as much.
I don't know. Innocent until proven guilty.
What else is there? There's he told at the end of the game against the Patriots, he told Belichick, this might be my last rodeo and things and everything. Belichick told him he was a great competitor. What do you think of that?
I kind of hope it is the last one.
Eli Manning in a press conference, he said this one will definitely be special, and that's all he would say.
Well,
duh.
that says something.
How vague can you be?
Yeah, that says something. I want to say this, and I don't want you to throw anything at me when I say this.
Alrighty.
And even though he's from Louisiana, and I typically pull for guys from Louisiana, and I'm not saying I'm pulling against him, I have Peyton Manning fatigue, and I think it's all of the damn commercials.
All the
I hate that. I hate that above all, but I'm tired of Papa John's Pizza. I guess I just have Peyton Manning fatigue, and I shouldn't take the commercials, the 9,000 I see a day, and apply that to his career. But I just have Peyton Manning fatigue.
I would bet you a Coke that there's probably more Odell Beckham Jr. commercials than Peyton Manning.
No.
I would bet you.
No, there's not. There's not. And I can only...
And I'm not talking about over his career because, of course...
And I can only... Well, and speaking of Odell Beckham Jr.
year.
commercials, by the way, one of his, and I don't know how... the only one I know of is stupid as it can be. It's a Head & Shoulders commercial, and it says shoulders are for greatness, not for dandruff. That's just stupid. If somebody gave me that script and said, read this and here's your $1 million, I would say, no, I'm already making $20 million a year from catching passes. I'm not reading this. So, there.
The reason I say that is because... every time I pull up sports news, guess whose name I see? OBJ. Every time. Not Peyton Manning. So I could see...
When you say pull up, though, what are you talking about?
On my iPad, I'll pull up
Okay, on your
sports
iPad,
news.
and I'm talking about watching TV. See, we're seeing two different things.
Well, everything in the news. Well, everything in the news, which is what I'm just pulling up.
Mm-hmm.
Not everything, but every time I bring this up, I see Odell Beckham Jr.'s name. How long have they been out of the postseason?
But
I'm still seeing his name.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. I think I have Odell Beckham Jr. fatigue. Anyways, we're not talking about Odell Beckham. We're talking about Peyton Manning. And anyways, I didn't throw anything at you, so be happy. Okay, we got a Hall of Famer for sure. He's going.
Well, certainly.
He's going to get in there as soon as he can. Was it 2 years?
No, 5 years. It's 5 years unless you're dead, and you get in sooner than that. But I don't.
Hopefully he.
Well, hopefully,
5
yeah,
years.
hopefully not. Now, let me ask you this: if he's done on the field, what next?
Coaching.
Really?
Yes.
I say the broadcast booth.
No, coaching. No, I could not listen to him talk about a game.
Why?
He's got a kind of annoying voice. I mean, have you ever listened to him talk?
Well, yes, that's what I was just talking about.
But that's a 20-second commercial.
Well,
I'm talking about a whole broadcast.
But I've seen 8 million 20-second commercials. So,
okay. A coach is what I would hope he would go into. If not, just retire, man. Enjoy your life. Don't get out of the...
I see him because I know he's popular. I know he's extremely popular, and I think he would. I think a network would throw more money at him than he'd know what to do with.
Definitely, but he
I don't
would
see
probably
him, I don't
take
see him coaching.
Yeah. More.
I don't see him coaching, but I could see him in a front office someday, just like his current boss, Elway. Yes, I could see that.
I could definitely
because I think he's definitely got the brains for that.
He's going to stay around football.
I think so. I think
I
think he's got the brains for that.
I don't think he's going to go to Hawaii and just enjoy his retirement.
No.
Because some guys once they're out, they're out. You never hear their name ever again. I don't think he's going to be
broadcast
one of those guys.
booth or front office is what I say.
Yeah,
if he's done.
Yeah, I guess I agree with you there. Super Bowl information. This is the last one.
41 through 49.
Yeah. Let's start off with those quarterbacks. The most quarterbacks to go to the Super Bowl? Is that what you...
Well, I was looking at something. Let's do a real quick rundown on 41 through 49. And then,
hit me.
And then
like win-loss?
Yeah, well, first of all, speaking of Peyton Manning, Indianapolis Colts beat the Bears 29-17.
That was his first. And that was the first black coach. Lovie Smith was the first black coach in it. Of course, because they won their game first.
Right.
And
Tony Dungy.
Yeah, Tony Dungy. And then he was, of course, Tony Dungy, the first black coach to win a Super Bowl.
Right.
So there's your little Super Bowl. What is that, 41?
That was 41.
Yeah.
The next year, the Giants beat the Patriots.
In an awesome game.
Another 3-point game, that Super Bowl that the Patriots were in. 43. Pittsburgh beat Arizona. And I want to hit this. And yeah, I'm a Pittsburgh fan. And if you've been listening to our show, you realize that. But this game contains the greatest defensive play in Super Bowl history. And there is only one scenario by which it will ever be topped. James Harrison intercepted a pass on his own goal line as time was running out in the first half. Ran the
109 yards.
No, 100 yards. It was on the goal line.
Oh.
Ran it back 100 yards. As time was running out, is tackled and falls into the end zone for a score in the first half.
That's right.
Ends the first half. If he gets tackled or knocked out of bounds anywhere on that play, they don't score because time is out. It's over. But he returns it all the way. We're talking about roughly a 265, 270-pound linebacker that does this. The only way that can, because it was a 14-point play. It was a 14-point play. If he doesn't intercept that and it's caught down here, it's a touchdown.
How was that a 14-point play?
You give up a touchdown.
Oh,
but they did not give up a touchdown. They got a touchdown. So it was in essence a 14-point play. The only way it can ever be bettered is if the exact same thing happens, but it's the end of the game instead of the end of the first half.
Yeah.
So, James Harrison, greatest defensive play in the history of the Super Bowl.
Next, the New Orleans Saints beat the Indianapolis Colts, and this was a win-win for me because I'm a Peyton Manning fan who was quarterback with the Indianapolis Colts at the time, and of course Saints fan. That was their first one.
Yep.
I couldn't care who lost or won because I was happy either way. And
to me, the highlight of this game was the Saints coming out with the second half kickoff and going onside kick.
And
genius. Genius.
Yeah. I was about to say block punt, but that was to get there.
Against Minnesota. Yeah, in the NFC Championship game. The next one, number 45, Green Bay beat the Steelers. This was Aaron Rodgers' so far first and only Super Bowl win.
And this apparently is the first and only Cowboys Stadium Super Bowl, am I right?
Yeah.
You said that stat,
I know I know that's crazy.
Couldn't believe it.
That's crazy. The next one is the Giants in
Yeah, Giants beat.
But I was trying to think which season was it that New England was perfect going into it? Was that the 07?
I'm thinking, yeah.
That was the 07, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. Okay, so
no.
Yeah, the 07 season, the
08.
08 Super Bowl was when the New England was 17-0 going into it.
And they had what was it? That line it was a tight end and he caught it on his helmet.
Yeah.
That was insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Giants beat them again in this one.
Yep, 21-17. And then in number 47, the Ravens beat the 49ers. It was brother going against brother, and this was in the Superdome in New Orleans. It was a 3-point game, and that's where the lights went out.
For like 40 minutes or something.
Yeah, number 48.
I don't even want to talk about
Seattle
that one.
That was ugly.
We were playing darts down in the other room by midway through the second quarter. It was sad.
And then last year, New England very improbably wins the game.
Probably by Seattle Seahawks just giving it to them?
Sure. Again, the call to not give it to
Megatron, not Megatron, Beast Mode.
So that gets us 41 through 49. Super Bowl 50 is coming up.
That's in Levi's Stadium, Santa Clara, California.
And this is the new home of the San Francisco 49ers. This is so this is up in San Francisco. Actually, Santa Clara is about 40 miles southeast of San Francisco, but it's where the 49ers play their home games now. And anytime a city builds a new stadium, they are awarded Super Bowl.
That year or
no, it's a couple of years down the road.
Yeah.
But it's soon. I mean, it's soon. How do you see 50 shaking out?
Are we? Oh, yeah, we're there, aren't we?
Yeah.
Oh, that flew by fast. Broncos winning it.
Score?
I don't know. Let's talk a little more and let my mind wrap around it. Now, here's the thing. That's totally my heart speaking.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because if I analytically go in here and look at stats and stuff, Carolina has every single thing wrapped up. Everything. And that is saddening. But, just going off the stats, that's what I see. And I don't know. I know who you're going to say because you've already professed your love for Cam.
No. I cannot jump on a bandwagon, but I can only admit that I have, based on new information, have come up with a new conclusion, and that's Cam is a hell of a quarterback.
Wow, that is very scientific of you there, John. That's so I have hypothesis number 1. After running numbers, Hypothesis number 2 is now what I want to go with.
Well, you know what? I'm going to take that as a compliment and tell you that I appreciate that you appreciate my scientific nerdiness.
Your scientific Super Bowl.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Scientific approach. There it is. I'm going to go with Carolina, and I think we're somewhere in the 28-31 to 17-21. So I'm saying Carolina by anywhere from, let's say, 9 or 10 points up to maybe as many as 14.
I bet the spread's probably like a 6.5.
It's about 4.
Oh, really?
Yeah, about 4. It's Carolina by about 4. Here's how I think it's going to play out. I believe that the great Denver defense will keep it close. I believe they will keep it close
all game
until late. Here's what, and the reason I make that point is because Carolina over the past 2 playoff games has jumped out to huge leads early.
And
I don't think that'll happen.
I disagree. I say that is going to happen. Denver's going to catch on, figure out who they're playing, how to play them, and then you're going to see Denver keep scoring and start shutting down on that defense as they learn how to shut them down. That's what I see. A fast score like they're doing, but Denver's defense is good enough to recover from it. So you were saying it won't be that.
I think it will be a hard fought game early on. I think the great Denver defense.
A lot of third and outs or what?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to get that specific, because you may have a couple of scores, or you may have a couple of first
goals,
and then drives, but ultimately
really conservative start is kind of what you're saying.
We have 2 very good defenses here.
That's true.
We have 2 very good defenses, and I believe that the Denver defense is too good to just roll over and play dead like they did 2 years ago to Seattle.
I would hope they don't do that.
No, I hope not either. I mean, that was horrible.
If they do that, they're not ever allowed in the Super Bowl ever again.
That game was just oh my God, that was an ugly game.
It has to be the biggest blowout, right?
I don't know that it's the biggest, because there was like a 55-10. I mean, there've been some bad ones, but
it's one of the worst.
Of late, it's definitely one of the worst. And over the past several years, there've been great ones. I mean, both of those New York Giants games were great. Pittsburgh's been in a couple of really good ones, and we just talked about one with the James Harrison play.
And last year was a good one.
The San Francisco-Baltimore one was a 3-point game, 34-31. Last year's game came down to the last play. So there have been a lot of good ones lately, and I think this one will be good. But I think ultimately the weapons. And by weapons, for the most part, I'm talking about Cam Newton will get it done. But look, I don't want to just this Wade Phillips defense that he's got going on at Denver there. I mean, look, I saw what they did last week, and it was impressive. To Tom Brady,
another Hall of Famer.
Yeah, well, certainly,
yes,
certainly. But I just
gave him the worst game of his life. I don't know if that's statistically right, but I'm just saying that was the worst game he's had in a long time.
Well, again, he spent the whole game on the ground.
Or throwing ducks.
Yeah.
Shot one-winged ducks.
And but look, here's what we've got. We've got the irresistible force and the immovable object. And I think that ultimately the irresistible force will win out. I believe the final score, again, anywhere from 10-14, and I believe that will be a little bit deceptive.
I say it comes down to a field goal.
All right, well, we'll see.
It might even come down to a missed PAT.
See. It might. It might. But I think it's very interesting. I believe because we have the oldest quarterback to ever start.
That's true. The spread between the two is the greatest.
Yeah. And look, Peyton Manning is a pure pocket passer, and he has won lately on his brains and how well he knows the game and how well he prepares. And now we have Cam Newton, who can. He's a 265-pound running back that can throw great balls.
As big as a Peyton Manning fan as I am, I said this last week, when they were playing New England, Peyton Manning is Denver's weakest link, and that's a good weak link to have, if you ask me.
Yeah. When you made that point, I thought it was a good point, that they've got a good running game, they've got a great defense. Peyton Manning is, at this point in time, their weakest link.
And that's not a bad weak link to have.
No, and they're in the Super Bowl.
But my heart all over says that I want him to get it, especially because it might be his last one. We don't know. But man, Cam Newton, and it's going to be a good. I hope it's a good.
I hope it's a good game. And
here's what I'm saying: a field goal or some kind of crazy special team, something. That's kind of what I'm pulling this game down to. It's gonna hopefully be something like that.
I'm not even sure who I'm pulling for. As I watch it, I will probably realize I'm pulling for a team.
Whoever's winning.
No.
I'm pulling for I want them to win.
I don't know who I'm pulling for.
If only you could place your bets that way, huh?
I might place a bet.
Oh, yeah?
I might.
And I know who that's going to.
Yeah, it would be on.
Well, then that's who you're going for. If you place a bet.
Well, if I place a bet, yes.
Yeah.
Then I know who I'm pulling for.
If you place a bet on a team.
But no, I mean, if I don't, I'm not sure who I'm pulling for. I did, and so you alluded to this. Jumping on now, just kind of Super Bowls in general. We are both Louisiana natives. We live in the state of Louisiana.
These are Mad Dashers from now.
Yeah. And Louisiana has produced certainly more than its share of Super Bowl winning quarterbacks. I can tell you right now of seven of the 49 Super Bowls have been won by quarterbacks from the state of Louisiana. Terry Bradshaw has 4. Doug Williams has 1. That's 5. No, make it 8. 8 of the 49. Eli Manning has 2, and Peyton has 1. That's another 3. So that's 8 of the 49 Super Bowls have been won by quarterbacks that played their high school ball in the state of Louisiana.
Played their high school ball or born? I mean, does it
was all of the above, because both of the Mannings are from New Orleans, and they played their high school ball in New Orleans. Doug Williams played his high school ball at Grambling, and he was born in Louisiana. Terry Bradshaw played his high school ball and was born in Shreveport, Louisiana.
What about, what's his name that lives down here?
What you talking about, Willis?
DeLome? Yeah.
He didn't win. We're just talking about winners.
Okay,
Winners is all that came up on this list.
Gotcha.
No, I can also tell you a couple of other quarterback losers. David Woodley went with the Miami Dolphins in the early 80s. He was from Shreveport, and they lost. And Stan Humphries was the quarterback for the San Diego Chargers when they went and they got hammered by the 49ers with Steve Young. He was also from Shreveport, and he lost. And then we've got Jake Delhomme, who was from somewhere down here and lost with the Carolina Panthers. So there's 3 more starters right there from the state of Louisiana.
So in all these, in this back and forth, I looked up most NFL players, right?
Yes.
Yeah, from certain regions.
Yes.
And I asked you, there was the 6 regions, and you got all of them but the last 2 right, impressively so. Now, number 1 by far was the South.
The South, yeah.
And it's like, number 1, how do you get in the NFL? Live in the South, because I mean it was 50%.
Well, and when we got down to the last 2. I didn't realize one of the regions was outside the U.S.,
which is sad. The Midwest, no, the
Midwest was
East.
Second, and the
Mountain West.
Well, the Midwest was second.
Midwest was second,
and the West Coast was third,
and then the Northeast was
fourth.
5th was outside
of the U.S.
Yes, and then 6th was the Mountain.
Yeah, the Mountain,
which
West.
Is sad. That I don't know. I guess,
but they produce most of our snow skiers.
Good for them.
Yeah.
X Games, here we come. And then most of the quarterbacks. Also
quarterbacks are well represented from California, Louisiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania.
So that's kind of
the big 4.
Yeah.
Of the 4 states, Louisiana has by far the smallest population of the 4 states we just mentioned. So
definitely.
We may suck in a lot of things, but we're really
football
good
is life.
We're good in football and food.
I was reading on that same article. It was reading, a couple of coaches why they go pick from where they go pick, and he's like, "Well, that's where all the football players live.
Where the talent is." Back when Bonnie and Clyde were robbing banks, somebody asked Clyde, "Why do you rob banks?" He said, "That's where the money is." So,
yeah, makes sense.
Supposedly, I wasn't around, but that's what he's attributed to saying. So, another thing, real quick, I'm a big fan of women in sports. I think it's great, and we have a woman named Catherine Smith who has been hired by the Buffalo Bills.
That's her name? I thought it was Jen something.
Catherine Smith.
Okay.
to their special teams staff, becoming the first NFL side to hire a woman to a full-time coaching job.
Got 2 questions for you.
Yes.
Is she getting paid as much as a male assistant coach would have?
Assistant coach pay and coach pay, it runs the gamut so very, very much. I would say I doubt it, but the spread on these things is so huge. I mean, it just is. It just is.
I just assume it would be lower. Cause
Well, it may be, but she's not going to turn it down, and she's breaking ground, and more power to her. And I wish her all the success in the world. And we also have a women's pro hockey league
well,
that
let me get to my second question about her.
Yep.
Are the players mentally tough enough to be coached by a woman?
Yes.
You think so?
Yes.
The reason I ask is because they're used to dealing with women in professional sports, in a friendly way. But when one of them's down on the field in their face telling them what they did wrong, how are they going to react to that? I don't know. I'm not going to say one of them's going to black her eye or something crazy like that. But I just want to see if they are, if the players are.
Well, I say yes.
If they have this mindset
I gave a blanket answer to cover a whole plethora of personalities.
Yeah.
And so I'll say yes for the most part. Let me amend my answer and say yes for the most part.
Guy.
But for instance, and the reason you said getting in their face, and I'm just thinking about right now one of the guys that I love to hate, Greg Hardy. What did he do when he came off of the field one time? He went crazy on the assistant coach. on one of the assistant coaches. I think he was a special teams coach. So yeah, I can see something like that going terribly wrong. Now here's an interesting question. Would the other players handle that differently because the coach is a woman than they would have if the coach is a man?
Well,
would they come to her defense more than they would in others? If the coach is a man, I think that's an interesting.
Yeah, sure. But when that happens, and it happens a lot, it just since it was Greg Hardy, it got blasted all over the everything. It happens a lot where emotions are high and they just get in each other's face. It's going to happen. I'm not saying if, it's going to happen.
I don't know anything about Miss Catherine Smith, but I'm just going to assume she's tough enough to do the job.
I just think when I heard that, I was like, I could see somebody saying, well, she's never had pads on and been on this field. What does she know? I could see that mindset, So
we'll see.
So tell us about what else.
Well,
is going on.
and again, there's a women's pro hockey league that has started up, and it was after the U.S. women won gold in the 2014 Winter Olympics. And here's something I've noticed, and I've paid close attention to this over the past couple of Olympics, summer and winter both. The U.S. women are outpacing the men when it comes to production and medals in both the summer and the winter games.
Is that a fair ratio?
It's just a comparison. I mean, it's just a comparison. And we stand up, the U.S. now I'm talking about, we stand up very well when it comes to medals in summer and winter Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
You look at the percentage of them that come from our women athletes, and it's higher than
what I'm
our
getting
men.
at is is there 20 gymnastics women and then 10 gymnastics men that go is kind of what I'm getting at. Is the ratio?
I didn't break it down like that.
Yeah.
I just looked at overall medal count, and without the U.S. women, we'd be hurting. We would be.
No, we got Michael Phelps.
We'd be hurting. We would be hurting without the U.S. women, and also just keep in mind World Cup soccer this summer of last year, summer of 2015. All of this, I'm going to say, goes back to 1972 when a little something called Title IX was, I don't know, decreed or made law or by Congress or whatever, and it said basically...
What was the year, 1973?
1972, and it basically said that high schools have to give more opportunities to girls for athletic competition. And I believe that started a culture way back then that has now produced what we have a country that has a lot of wonderful women athletes in it, and I'm glad to see it, and I think it's long overdue, and it's something that I think is good and has been a long time coming.
When I pulled up the history on women's professional sports, 1973, Billie Jean King won the Battle of the Sexes, and it said she cracked the glass ceiling for female athletes.
Yeah, that was okay. Now, I remember when that happened. Let me a little something about that.
So that's the year after this title.
Well, it has nothing to do with it. It has nothing
Okay.
to do with it because she was a professional athlete and she was well into her prime. What she did was she won a kind of a tennis match against an old man named Bobby Riggs.
Yeah.
He was old. He was well past his prime. If I remember correctly, and I was only 11, and I haven't looked it up since, but if I remember correctly, he was one of these brash kind of guys that sort of ran his mouth a lot.
And she kind
of said, okay, you know what, let's do it. But he was old and past his prime. She won, I guess. You say she did. I don't remember a whole lot about it, except what I just mentioned. But the Title IX thing was geared at more of giving
a future.
Yeah, giving a future, giving girls an opportunity to compete at the high school level,
And
that has
why
worked.
we're here now.
That's why we're here now. At least that's the correlation I'm making. Yeah.
So I don't know what a all NFL women's team, WNFL.
Mm-mm.
We have a WNBA.
And you know what? And I when it first came out, I watched and it was horrible.
Well, it's got probably terrible ratings. I mean, every game I watch, there's no one in the stands.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy
It looks like
it.
a high school
I
game.
have enjoyed watching a lot of women's sports, but WNBA was not among them.
So no WNFL, you don't think? 10 years from now?
Anything's possible. Anything's possible.
I mean, we've got the women refs last year, women assistant coaches this year.
Yeah, it may. 10 years may be a little fast.
You think?
Yeah.
I don't think it would take long to put together.
Well, but think about it. We don't.
A whole league.
But think about it. We do not have widespread high school girls football.
That's true.
College. So before you have
There's nowhere to pull from.
They're right. There's nowhere to develop the talent. So no.
Okay, let me.
I'll say no.
WNFL. What do they call it? Puppy football.
Well, they had the lingerie bowl.
Yeah, lingerie bowl. They got.
That's a little different.
Yeah, they've
got
a history they can pull from in there. Hey, them games get brutal, man.
I know. I've watched a little bit. Yeah, I have watched a little bit of the lingerie bowl, and
they're not out there to look pretty. They're out there to win, man.
Well, I thought they did a better job of looking pretty than they did of. Look, there are sports. There are, but I'm not altogether sure football. And again, maybe 50 years from now or something, but you've got to start seeing it at the high school level. And let me throw this in. We've gotten to the point in this country where we are, because of cost, and we are eliminating so many things in high school. I don't see adding girls football as being anywhere in the future.
How about drone racing?
Well, now that's something altogether different, isn't it?
I saw a thing on that. That's the first big sport of the 21st century or something, and they're trying to make it a thing. The Miami Dolphins owner is behind it and stuff.
And you mentioned this to me earlier today, and I said I would go see that before I would go see a NASCAR race. I absolutely
well, yeah, they just
would.
turn left. You would think they're flying around, going down hallways. I mean, they were like going through.
So you have obstacle courses.
Oh yeah, they're flying through, and they
I
have
think that would be
little
fun to
square
watch.
boxes
I wouldn't pay to go see it, but I'd watch it on TV. A little bit, a few minutes.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
I'd watch it before I'd watch soccer.
Well, they might be onto something.
I like women's soccer though. Well, I don't know if I'd like it, but I appreciate it more than men's.
Man,
soccer.
women's soccer, they're more brutal than the guys.
Yeah,
I mean, kicking shins like things in half. What do they call them? Shin guards.
Yeah,
cracking them in half.
Are we done mad dashing?
We're done with the whole episode.
Done with the whole thing. All right.
We're gonna go on and end this one. If you want to give us a shout out, it's at Boomer and X Show on Twitter. The boomerandxshow.com. That's our website. You got contact us. We put other episodes down there. And go on iTunes and search us, the Boomer and X Show, and give us a nice little friendly review. And that, all of the above, we would appreciate if you did. And John, that's I'm all out of words over here. What you got?
I was all out of words about 35 seconds ago.